Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
Louisiana, you've got a new home for coverage of LSU, the New Orleans Saints, and the Southeastern Conference. LouisianaSports.net. LouisianaSports.net. Feature stories, opinion columns, recruiting updates, in-game reports. And it's all free. No paywalls, no annoying pop-up ads, no recurring subscriptions. Just the content you crave. From the folks that bring you 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, it's LouisianaSports.net. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Means we're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Hope your work week is off to a great start. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos and fired up to be hanging out with you over the next 2 hours. As is generally the case on a Monday, there's just a lot to talk about. We're going to crown a national champion in college basketball tonight. I want to talk a little bit about the Final Four and tonight's ball game. LSU basketball is cleaning up in the transfer portal. We'll discuss that a little bit. LSU spring football back on the practice field today, back from spring break. I've got a thought on LSU as far as the linebackers go that I want to get into. Are the Saints really players for Shedeur Sanders? That's another topic we want to discuss. We're loaded, so let's get into it the same way we do each and every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Look, I think if you're following LSU baseball, most of you are, right now, your thought on the team probably in one way or another mirrors this thought. Offense, really good. Ace, really good. Stoppers in the back end of the bullpen, really good. But the depth of the pitching staff from your second starter through your middle relief is really where you need to see LSU step forward. And if that comes together, this team really could be primed to make a run. That's maybe not exactly how you feel, but it's close if you're paying attention. And so it would be easy to look at this weekend against Oklahoma and go, oh my gosh, LSU pitching did not allow an earned run the entire weekend. This is unbelievable. What a huge development. And I kind of push back on that a little bit. And let me explain. I think the biggest storyline from this weekend was the fact that LSU won all 3 games against what was a top 10 team on the road to get to 10-2 in league play. That is where the most meat is on this bone. Because you're now working yourself into a situation with the math where it looks really likely that you're going to be playing postseason baseball at Alex Box Stadium until you can get to Omaha. We'll get to that in a second. But that's what I think the biggest story is. To get to the pitching, it's great. It's fantastic that you did not allow an earned run over the weekend. That is a very, very positive thing. But you need context here. It was an atrocious weekend to try to hit in Norman. Temperatures were in the 40s. It felt like it was in the 30s. The wind was howling in. It was just a really, really difficult weekend to hit, and that obviously helps the pitchers. Now, we talked about Cade Anderson on Friday because that was a Thursday night game, and that was sensational. I mean, you strike out 14 guys. I don't care if it's 86 and sunny or 35 degrees. You strike out 14, that's just incredible work. And then you go to the rest of the staff who you saw on Friday and Saturday, and you saw Anthony Ianson, and you saw Chase Shores, and you saw Zach Cowan, and you saw Kason Evans. Well, truth be told, I already know those guys are good. I'm quite confident in Zach Cowan. I'm quite confident in Kason Evans. I'll give you some numbers to back those guys up in a second. And I thought Ianson was good, and I thought Shores was pretty good. I also thought it was a really, really positive day to pitch. Both of those two guys in their starts walked 4 hitters. I'd love that number to come down a little bit, but I think when I look at their box scores, The fact that Ianson got 2 outs in the 6th inning and Shores completed 5 innings, when you can get that type of length from those guys, you're going to put LSU's bullpen in a position to succeed. Too many times, Shores has not gotten out of the 4th. Ianson hadn't gotten out of the 3rd. Like you can't put that much on LSU's middle relief. But for Ianson to get 17 outs and Shores to get 15 outs, you get 32 outs from those two guys. Your bullpen's going to be in a good spot. And because of that outing, Kason Evans was able to finish the game in a blowout on Friday. He threw 3 1/3, threw 57 pitches. And Zach Cowden was able to come in and throw the last 4 innings of the game. On Saturday, he threw 60 pitches. So that was good, but I kind of already know those guys are good. For LSU's pitching staff to truly take an appreciable step forward, that's going to come from some of the guys you'll probably see tomorrow. That's going to come from Connor Ware. That's going to come from William Schmidt. That's going to come from Maverick Rizzi. To an extent, Connor Benj has been good, but you're going to need to see more from DJ Primo. Like that's the core group that's going to have to take a step forward for me to really think that, man, you've really got something here. I know about these guys. I know Cade Anderson is an ace. I know Cowan is an assassin for the last 3 or 4 innings of a game. I know the same thing about Kason Evans. I feel like Anthony Ianson is a solid SEC number 2 who's capable of giving you 5 to 6 innings. He's going to run up some strikeouts. I like that. I think that Chase Shores has got a lot of talent. He's not going to be a 7-inning, 13 strikeout guy, but he can be a 5-inning, 2-run guy, and that's basically what you saw over the weekend. He only gave up 3 hits and didn't give up an earned run. Nobody in LSU staff did. The biggest statistic that I liked about LSU's pitching over the weekend, and I'm confident if you're listening to an Oklahoma podcast today, they're going to frame it from the Oklahoma perspective. I'm doing an LSU show to an LSU audience today, so I'll do it from an LSU perspective. But either way you slice it, Oklahoma had 26 at-bats with runners in scoring position over the weekend. 26 of them. They got 3 hits. 3 for 26 with runners in scoring position. Anderson faced 6 guys on Thursday in running scoring position. He struck out all 6. 3 for 26 is a 115 batting average. So whether you want to say that's Oklahoma coming up with poor at-bats, if you want to say that it was a really good day to pitch, so some of those numbers are watered down, if you want to say LSU rose to the occasion with guys on base and made the pitches they had to, any way you want to slice it, 3 for 26 with runners in scoring position is pretty good. And one of those 3 hits was on Saturday, and Derek Curiel was playing so shallow in left field that there was a line drive through the left side, and he was able to pick it up on 3 hops, and you had no chance to even send the runner home because he was playing so shallow because of the conditions. So they didn't even score a run on one of those hits that came with the runner in scoring position. So, look, I thought that LSU did a good job pitching. I think that the context of the weather conditions has to be mentioned. But, look, the biggest story here is a 3-game sweep on the road to get to 10-2. That is so big for this team. And you're talking about a team that is now chasing the 2013 team for these astronomical record numbers. Now, keep in mind, the 2013 team is going to get lost in the history books around here because they didn't win a championship. They didn't even win a game in Omaha. But the 2013 team had Aaron Nola at the top of the rotation. He was the National Pitcher of the Year. And you had Alex Bregman, and you had Mason Katz, and Ray Frines, and Jacoby Jones, and Ty Ross, and Christian Ibarra. But that team was great. They were great. They got to Omaha at 57-9. They started the season 33-3. They were 12-2 in league play. This team right now is 30-3. And if they can win against Nichols on Tuesday and then the first 2 games at Auburn, you would match both of those starts, 33-3 as well as 12-2. That is rarefied air to be that good. And right now you look at the rankings that came out, and LSU is number 3. They're behind Arkansas, who's 11-1 in the league. They're behind Texas, who beat them 2 out of 3 and is also 10-2 in the league. But you're in just phenomenal position right now if you're LSU. You've just got to keep your head above water the rest of the way. There are going to be some more setbacks. LSU, in my opinion, has not lost its last series. There are going to be days where the bullpen falters. Like, you're not going to go play 6 more great weekends But when you get an opportunity to seize a weekend and to take control and to get a sweep like they did and that they've done 3 times now, that's a big, big deal. And all this 56-game schedule is a resume builder to put yourself in position in the postseason. And last year, while we like to talk about them getting hot late and playing great baseball and how they figured it out, the fact of the matter is that you got off to such a crappy freaking start that you had to go to Chapel Hill and play probably the best non-SEC team in the country on their home field in the postseason. And you don't want to do that. I want somebody coming to the box. And while you can always bring up Stony Brook and you can always bring up Coastal and you can always bring up Houston, fact of the matter is that every single time LSU has advanced to Omaha in the super regional era, it has come via Baton Rouge. And you took a huge step this weekend towards making sure that that's the case this year. That is the biggest storyline. I want to talk about Luis Hernandez, who has just been sensational. I want to talk about some of the things that LSU did offensively in those adverse conditions, getting the leadoff doubles, getting some bunts down, making sure that you were able to get the ball into the outfield with runners in third and less than 2 outs, and then kind of the outburst that showed the power that LSU actually can use in some adverse conditions. Like, there are some other things I want to talk about, but the biggest story here, not the 0 earned runs. That's good. I love that. The biggest story is getting a sweep on the road, especially considering you faced a top 20 pick on Thursday. We talked about that on Friday's show, but just a big freaking deal. Let me talk about Luis Hernandez briefly here before we go to break. I thought when they signed Luis Hernandez that they signed him for his bat. And then you go out in the fall and he's catching a little bit. And you're going, okay, they're going to take a look at him at catcher. And then I saw Aaron Beatty struggling a little bit defensively, and I didn't feel like Eddie Yaman was going to be an option as a catcher. And you start to process this and go, I think Hernandez might be the catcher. And that immediately led me to say, I don't know if you're going to be able to count on as much offense as Indiana State got from him going to the SEC from the Missouri Valley Conference and then catching every day, which takes a lot out of you. We saw what happened with Paul Skeens when he took that catching gear off. The inverse happened to him. And I checked on this yesterday just to kind of see, and checked in with somebody in the program, and I said, when you got Luis Hernandez to come in from Indiana State, did you think that he was going to be able to be this primary catcher and be a force offensively? And what the indication was from the program was like, knew that the bat would very likely translate, not with the average, but there's going to be pop in that bat. He's going to run some balls out of the yard. And LSU thought he could be, at worst, the second catcher, and then at best work into being a starter and everyday catcher. And Josh Jordan has spent a ton of time with Luis Hernandez working on his catching because it's not something Hernandez has really done for 2 years. And it has absolutely paid off. He's doing a good job defensively. There was a pass ball on Saturday, but other than that, thought he was pretty good. We talked about Oklahoma running as much as they do. They led the SEC in attempts and steals during the weekend. They didn't steal a base the whole weekend. And then offensively, I mean, look at what he's doing. 6 of his last 10 games have been multi-hit games. In the last 5 SEC games, he is 10 for 20. I can do that math. That's a 500 batting average with 3 doubles and 2 homers in those 5 games. In 12 SEC games total, he's hitting .340 against league competition with 4 home runs and only 8 strikeouts. There are 6 guys that have started all 12 SEC games. Only Stephen Milam has struck out fewer times in LSU's lineup than Luis Hernandez. He has just been incredible, and it's not like they're asking him to hit second or third. They got that licked up there with guys like Curiel and Jones and Dickinson. They plug him down there in the 5, 6, 7 hole. That's a powerful bat down in the lineup that you've got to deal with, and that's part of the length and the balance of LSU's order, which, if you look at the numbers right now, it is frightening to look at what LSU can do offensively. And they weren't elite over the weekend in those bad conditions, but you did enough against Kyson Witherspoon to get 6 hits and chase him from the game after 6 innings. You really swung the bat well in Friday's game, scored 10 runs on 15 hits in that game. And then a really tough day, you got a gift on Sunday where they let a ground ball go under the second baseman's glove, but you made it stand up because it was a tough day to hit, and your pitching did a really, really good job. So big weekend for LSU. They're 3rd in the country. The RPI is now all the way up to 6 at this point. It's quickly corrected. If you looked at LSU entering SEC play, that RPI, because the schedule was so awful, was in the 60s. It's all the way up to 6 now. So the SEC just took it a month to correct the entire thing. And those are the breaks here. Like, you're in this league, your league games just mean everything. It's just, we can boil it down. And you can't throw up all over yourself all of February and March, and you can't just not show up on any Tuesday. But as long as you keep your head above water, and LSU did a lot more than that in the non-conference, you just got to take care of your business in league play. LSU in 4 weeks is taking care of the business to 10-2. You're now an RPI inside the top 10. So awesome stuff for LSU over the weekend. They sweep the Oklahoma Sooners 10-2 in league play. That's our Genesis opening drive. We will take a timeout. When we come back, I don't remember what we're going to talk about. I'll have to look it up. LSU basketball landing some transfers, including a Conference Player of the Year. How does that all fit together? It's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Well, the report as of a month ago was that LSU was going to pump some money into the basketball program, try to go after some transfers. That's paying off. They're getting some transfers. LSU basketball has added now 5 transfers into their program. We've talked about all of them but one, I believe, because we talked about Max McKinnon back on Friday. He joins Rashad King and De'Don Thomas. Let's see, who else have they added out of the portal class? I should have probably written that down, as opposed to just try to come up with it right off the top of my head. We got, and then Michael Nwoku from Mississippi State. And then over the weekend, they got a commitment from Marquel Sutton. Marquel Sutton is the reigning Summit League Player of the Year for the Omaha Mavericks. They were a tournament team, played St. John's in the first round of the tournament this year. Sutton is one of these classic transfer portal stories. He started at a small community college in rural Oklahoma. Then he went to Omaha, and he's been a 3-year starter for the Mavericks, scored over 1,300 points in his time there. This past season, he averaged better than 18 points and 7 rebounds for Omaha. He's 6'9", and one of the things that I noticed immediately when I turn on the video of Marquel Sutton is that at 6'9", he can really run and jump. He's a very, very good athlete. Now, when I say 18.5 points per game, you generally would think of a really polished scorer, and I don't think that Marquel Sutton is a really polished scorer. He was about a 27% three-point shooter, and he took over 101 of them over the course of the season. That was down from like 26% as a third-year player. So he's not a great shooter. He's not a great, like, off the dribble, get his own shot, get a bucket guy. But he is 6'9". He can really run in transition. He's active around the rim. And I think 2 comps that come to mind for me are just in terms of the athleticism, kind of the length, and the motor, the tenacity, is Ronald Dupree, who coincidentally joined the LSU program today as general manager, and more recently, Emmett Williams. Like, you wouldn't say Emmett Williams was some sort of elite talent, scoring, but he had long arms, he was incredibly active, and he would do a great job of catching lobs and scoring at 4 or 5 feet from the basket and getting offensive rebounds and putbacks and that kind of thing. And I think that's what Marquel Sutton's going to be on this team for LSU. He's not going to be the guy the offense runs through. He can play with his back to the basket a little bit, but I think what really suits him with this team as we move into 2025, 2026 is you've got guys in De'Don Thomas and Rashad King and Max McKinnon and even Jalen Reed who are shot creators, and they create a lot of space. And when you do that and those guys are attacking, you've got a 6'9", really athletic and agile Marquel Sutton who's able to cut to the rim, to get to the rim for lobs, to get there for offensive rebounds. Like, I think he's going to be kind of a junk player down there. And so if you look at LSU's front court, you've got Michael Nwoku as a 6'10", big body defensive presence. You've got Jalen Reed as a 6'10", big body offensive minded player. Then you've got Robert Miller, who's growing into that body and showed some real skill around the basket. But Marquel Sutton becomes the best athlete of that group and the most active, I think. I'm surprised looking at him on offense and seeing the size and how well he moves. His block numbers are nothing. He had 10 blocks 2 years ago and 10 blocks this past year. It seems like you would just luck into more blocks than that at that size. So I don't get the sense that he's an elite defender, but I like his fit on this team, being a guy that can clean some things up around the rim. One thing that you have to notice with Marquel Sutton, and this plays into that athleticism and that motor that he plays with, he shot 222 free throws this season. That was 24th in the nation. Cam Carter led LSU in free throw attempts this past year, and Cam Carter was not even in the same zip code as Marquel Sutton. And we all think that Cam Carter did a pretty good job of getting to the line. He shot 116 free throws. That's half of what Marquel Sutton shot. So that's how aggressive he is at getting and playing through contact and getting to the rim. And I think that generally translates. I remember Will Wade saying something when he signed Cam Thomas. He goes, guys that get fouled. And that sounds like a cliche and really, but like it's a skill and it's really important. And what Sutton did was he improved his free throw shooting, where he was a mid-60s% shooter 2 years ago. This past year, shot better than 72% from the free throw line. He's not dead eye from the free throw line, but he made a big percentage of it. When you get there 220, that's 6 per game. You're getting to the bucket. And he had a stretch during league play where he really, really did a great job of scoring. He averaged 24 points per game over a 7-game stretch this year. His season high was 36 against South Dakota. He was 14 of 20 from the floor in that game. Over 7 games, he scored 20 more points in all of them. So look, the Summit League ain't the SEC. We know that. But we've talked about this a great deal. Like a lot of these really good players, you're going to watch Walter Clayton play tonight. You know he came from Iona. And so you can get really good players from lesser programs. You just got to put them together and make them match. And as I look at this team, at least offensively, it makes a lot of sense. You've got length, you've got size, you've got skill, you've got a ball-dominant point guard who's had the ball in his hands for 2 years. I don't know a lot about the defensive ability of this team, but the offense looks like it's going to be pretty good. And you're not seeing as much of the lockdown defense taking over the top end of college basketball. Yes, Houston's great on defense. Yes, Florida's great on defense. Yes, Duke is great on defense. Auburn had a good defense this year. It's very important. But you're not seeing the pack line defenses, the Virginias of the world, get to the final anymore. You got, Houston, it took them to get to this point to be a team that's second in the country in three-point shooting. Like, they're great on defense. That's their identity. But they've got a really good offensive team this year. And I'm not talking about LSU getting to the Final Four and national championship. That's not what I'm trying to say. But we do have to talk about the top of the sport because you're playing in the SEC. And while I do believe it's reasonable to suggest the SEC will take a small step back next year, like I think A&M's not going to be good. I don't think Florida's going to win the national championship next year. Like I expect the league to fractionally back up a little bit. And LSU needs to take a big step forward. This team offensively looks pretty good to me on paper. And you bring in Marquel Sutton, the Summit League Player of the Year, and you hope that he can be a really nice offensive piece for you with the pieces you put around him. There's probably 2 more spots for LSU to go fill if they want to. I've heard some buzz about forward out of Iowa State. I don't think they're done. They've got significant investment in this team, and it looks pretty good on paper. You've got to get them to campus. You got to coach them and develop them, and you got to go execute on the floor in the best league in America. But there's no question in my mind that LSU today is a lot better for 2025, 2026 than they were for 2024, 2025. How much better? That's remains to be seen. We probably won't know until January, quite frankly. But here we are. Marquel Sutton is pulled in. If you are curious for a in-depth look at some of these transfers, I've gone through every single one that LSU has added and written a portal profile on LouisianaSports.net. So if you got some time, you want to go check that out, it's all free right there at LouisianaSports.net. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, check them out at Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy, Trey Beal, who's just an awesome dude. They're fantastic to work with no matter what industry you are in. Gulf Coast Office Products has clients in your vertical market. They know your needs from a printing, scanning, copying perspective. Check them out online, gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com. We come back, let's talk some football. LSU linebackers. I need to take a big step forward. I'll tell you why next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. When you go to Genesis of Baton Rouge, you're going to feel like a guest, not a customer. I know a lot of you don't love the feeling of being at a car dealership. You feel like you're going to be swarmed. You feel like you're going to be pressured and upsold. And those stereotypes exist for a reason. That does happen some places. It's not going to happen at Genesis of Baton Rouge. They know how to treat their customers. They know how to treat their guests. And you're going to get the full scale of service from Genesis of Baton Rouge. They'll get you behind the wheel. They'll explain the incredible safety features. You'll feel the difference in a Genesis. It's a luxury vehicle. When I say Genesis, you should think luxury. When you think luxury, don't immediately go, I can't pay for that. You might be able to. It's a luxury vehicle at a reasonable price. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're at Airline and Pico. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
LSU spring football winding down this week. They were obviously off for spring break last week. They'll go through one more week of practices, and they'll wrap things up on Saturday with their open practice that'll involve an autograph session as well. So one more week of spring football before LSU breaks for summer workouts, and it will be till August when we can get back out there and give you some practice reports. But I wanted to spend some time on linebacker today because I think LSU's got a chance to be really good at linebacker. Obviously, Greg Penn was an emotional leader on that team. We talked to Greg most midweeks in player interviews. He's a great representative of the program, guy that absolutely loves LSU and played incredibly hard. I don't know that he's going to be a first-round draft pick coming up, but that's a guy that was obviously a big leader on the team and earned the number 18. Do I think that LSU can raise its level of talent this year at wide receiver from what they put out there last year, especially after Perkins went down? I do. You consider a linebacking core that's got Whit Weeks, that's got Devon Keys in his second year, and we saw some flashes from him late in the season last year, playing a little bit at the star, playing a little bit inside. And then you've got Harold Perkins kind of moving to the star in a linebacker-type role. That is, I believe, a really, really strong core to work with. You've got West Weeks, who's a veteran player that you bring into the fold as well. They're really high on a couple of their young linebackers in this class. But I think to talk about the foundation in the top three is the most important thing. And Whit Weeks emerged as a star last year. You're talking about a guy that finished second in the Southeastern Conference in tackles. I think there are some things to clean up. I lean a little bit more on Pro Football Focus to talk about that than me. I mean, you saw a very obvious misplay that he made in the South Carolina game that allowed Rocket Sanders to spring for a huge touchdown. It's just some of those gap assignments that you're looking for. But in terms of effort, intensity, and then production, Whit Weeks is going to be a preseason first-team All-SEC linebacker. I think Devon Keys is a talent upgrade for LSU in his second year. I think that's a guy who is primed to make a lot of plays from his inside linebacker spot. And then I think Harold Perkins being around the line of scrimmage but not being boxed into the middle, I think that allows him to use his greatest strength, which is his athleticism, quickness, and most importantly, I think, his instincts. I think at times in the middle of the field, Perkins got a little bit caught in the wash, and that showed up on tape, but really in production. I mean, you just didn't see him getting north and south and making plays behind the line of scrimmage. He needs to be making plays behind the line of scrimmage. He can really move laterally, sideline to sideline, no question. His most impactful plays are going to be moving north and south, moving vertically. And you allow him, I think, to do that when you put him in a little more space. He's going to do some covering. He's going to play some in the nickel in the slot. He'll have some assignments against some slot receivers. Not all the time, but some. But for the purposes of this discussion with the linebackers, you imagine he's going to be a really, really productive and guy that wrecks a lot of plays if used properly. So there are question marks at a lot of places on the field for LSU. Both lines of scrimmage, I have some question marks. Safety, I have some question marks. Corner, I have some question marks. I look at linebacker, and when I consider like West Weeks, the fourth linebacker, like I don't really have any questions. I think you're going to have Whit Weeks, who I can right now go ahead and pencil in for 112 tackles. Absolutely. I've got Harold Perkins, who I think is going to make 8 to 10 tackles for loss, have 6-7 sacks. And then I think Devon Keys, given the reign of 12 games to play, is going to be an 85 tackle guy in this defense. And I think is going to be a little bit more dynamic than what you saw last year. Now, one of the things that has to happen for the linebackers to have the kind of year that I'm forecasting is you've got to be good at the point of attack. And I don't have any doubt about Jack Pyburn, about Jamari Butler, about Patrick Payton, about Gabe Relaford. Like, on the edge, you're going to be strong. And I feel pretty good about Jacoby and Guillory at least being strong at the point of attack. I don't know how statistically productive Guillory is going to be, but for the point of this conversation, I'm talking about the linebackers. And he's going to be a big-time piece to holding the point of attack between the center and the guards. And then we'll see what Ahmad Rowe and Don McKinley and some of those guys are this year. If they all hold up their end of the bargain and allow those linebackers to run, I think LSU is going to be better against the run, more dynamic in making plays in the backfield, and I think going to cause some havoc. Blake Baker's defenses, generally speaking, cause a lot of havoc. And one of the things we know that Kyle Williams has done very early in his time at LSU, and it's very early in his time at LSU, he doesn't like the notion that defensive linemen's job is to kind of hold their ground and let everybody else make plays. He wants those guys to make plays. But I think the guys behind them are going to make more. And so I'm very, very much bullish on this group's ability to come into its own, to be a veteran, productive, and then maybe more so than last year, dynamic group. Making plays behind the line of scrimmage, blowing up plays in the backfield, ending drives because you're creating negative plays and getting teams behind the sticks. I'm really confident that LSU has got this thing figured out from a linebacker perspective. And I think when you go back like 2 years ago and at some points last year, just not good enough at the linebacker spot in terms of filling gaps and stopping the run and making plays. I think they're going to be every bit of that this year on the linebacking core. So I'm very bullish on that group. I don't know if you're going to see much of anything on Saturday. Harold Perkins is not going through spring workouts. Whit Weeks is not going through spring workouts. Like, those guys are coming back from injury. I have every reason to believe that they'll do so very, very healthily. You got Whit just had a broken bone, which is no fun, but it does just heal. Perkins, of course, had to have the ACL reconstructed, but that's a surgery that you feel pretty good about, and you hope that he's able to go out there and play at full speed very, very quickly. And Brian Kelly said back in the middle of spring football a couple weeks ago, both of those guys should be ready to go on July 1st, which gives them 4 weeks to get up to speed to be ready to go full speed, full contact at camp. So that's a very, very positive thing for LSU, and I think the linebackers are going to be a huge positive for the Tigers moving into this offseason and into the season in 2025. All right, fired up to be here on this Monday. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. We've got a lot to do in hour number 2. Matthew Brunie is going to be with us in 20 minutes talking about LSU's new basketball transfers. I want to talk a little bit about the national final tonight. And are the Saints really and truly a threat to land Shedeur Sanders at number 9? And is that a good idea? I've got my thoughts on that in hour number 2. One of the big topics of the weekend, as far as LSU goes, was Cade Anderson's pitch count on Thursday. He threw 135 pitches. I told you on Thursday, I don't think it was some sort of egregious fireable offense. Please do not misunderstand me. I just said on Friday that was a little bit much for me for Cade Anderson. Coincidentally, this was set up before Thursday. We've now got an opportunity to speak to somebody who actually does this for a living. Dr. Christina Graffia is an upper extremities doctor with Ochsner. We've got our segment coming up with the folks over at Ochsner here to end hour number 1. So we'll ask her what she thinks is the leading cause of youth arm injuries and what the best way to go about preventing those is. And we'll talk about that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Closing up hour number 1 here, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Every other week, we end the first hour with our sports health presented by Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. We've been speaking with Dr. Jeremy Burnham the last few weeks. He's got a pinch hitter today. It's Dr. Christina Graffia. She's a hand, wrist, and elbow orthopedic surgeon there with Auctioner, and good enough to give us a little bit of time here on this Monday. Dr. Graffia, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on.
It is our pleasure. I want to talk a little bit about elbow issues. Obviously, that's a hot button topic this time of year in professional baseball, in amateur baseball, down to youth sports as well. And I know that y'all see a lot of that over at Auctioner. At what age do you start seeing some of these elbow issues that tend to plague baseball players, pitchers specifically?
So honestly, as soon as kids start pitching is when I start seeing elbow issues. So when they're younger, their growth plates are open. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it tends to be more stress fractures of the growth plate. But then as kids get older and their growth plates close, that's when you start seeing ligament issues like the dreaded ulnar collateral ligament injury.
Yeah, that's the one that triggers the Tommy John. That's the buzzword in baseball. We talked about this a little bit as we were preparing to get you on the show today, and I'm a big baseball fan, and I find that fans look at a pitcher and say, okay, Tommy John surgery, obviously you're going to miss the rest of this season, but by next year, you'll be ready to roll 100%. The confidence level from fans, I'm not talking doctors and coaches who have a lot more information, but fans are just like, back good as new in 15 months or so. Can you speak to just how effective this surgery is, but what the recovery rate is like as far as getting back to where you were pre-injury?
Yeah, so this procedure is becoming very commonly done. I think if you look at the Major League Baseball pitchers, about 35% of them have had this procedure done. So very common. But you have to keep in mind that the success rate's about 85 to 90%, which sounds fantastic. But, if you're the 1 in 7 people that isn't able to get back to sport, that sucks to be you,
Yeah.
So you just have to keep in mind that, sure, 85, 90% sounds great, but there are some people that aren't able to get back to where they were before. And the recovery process is long. We're talking 12 to 16 months to get back. So that means you're missing 1 season, sometimes 2 seasons, just depending on the timing of when the surgery is done.
What do y'all find to be most often the cause of that UCL injury?
So what happens when you pitch is you exert a lot of stretching force on the inside of your elbow. And so that ulnar collateral ligament is what's getting stretched every single time that the ball is being thrown. And so if you overuse your elbow, if you're pitching too much, then over time that ligament's going to get more and more and more stretched out. It doesn't necessarily tear off the bone. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times more likely what happens is it stretches out so much that it's not really even providing any function at that point. And so that's when the ligament gets reconstructed.
Do you find that it's more often that you're pitching on days that are too close together or too much at one time or kind of both?
It's a little bit of everything. I think the important thing is just not pitching in consecutive days, don't play year-round, and then to kind of rotate in other positions besides pitcher to give yourself a break. And if you look on the Little League Baseball website, they have rest periods that they kind of recommend for every age based off of how many pitches that you're throwing. So there's some really good resources to look up to figure out how to make sure you don't reach the point where you need to have this surgery.
Dr. Christina Graffia is our guest here. It's our segment every other week with the folks over at Ochsner. You sent me a great little piece on baseball injuries and prevention from the Andrews Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. Those resources, I'm guessing, are available that y'all have over there at Ochsner for parents of youth athletes and coaches as far as preventative measures for these issues. I'm guessing that's something that y'all do a good bit of talking about with people.
We do a good bit of talking about that, and we're actually partners with the Andrews Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. So this is one of our resources as well, in a way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic stuff. I know there are a lot of parents whose kids are just getting into youth sports, and that's information you may have not needed until now, but obviously at this point, kids playing year-round. Appreciate your time here on this Monday, Dr. Graffia. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
That's Dr. Christina Graffia. She is a hand and wrist and elbow orthopedic surgery expert over at Ochsner. Look, at Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute, we know that sports injuries can be unpredictable. One situation you can protect yourself from is muscle cramping. One of the first things you can do to aid in recovery to avoid muscle cramping is to stretch prior to and at the end of your activity. Not drinking enough fluids can also lead to muscle cramps, and so be sure to stay hydrated. To learn more about sports injury prevention and treatment, visit Ochsner.com, Ochsner.org/BRortho. Look, I don't want that segment to sound like we saw Kate Anderson throw 135 pitches and then, boom, we're talking to the Ochsner people because that's some sort of crime. No, this was set up previous to that. It just, I think, happened to come at a good time. I made my point on the Kate Anderson issue on Friday's show for those that missed it. Like, I don't think it was egregious. I don't think it was reckless. I don't think it was crazy. In my opinion, it was just a little bit much. And I don't know nearly as much as Dr. Graffia. I don't know nearly as much as Jay Yeski or Jay Johnson. I don't know nearly as much as Kate Anderson or his parents, obviously, because they went through Tommy John 2 years ago. This is just one guy's opinion watching it. I just saw that number creep up. And to me, it was a little bit higher than I would personally like. My cutoff point there would probably been right around 115. But hey, look, he looked great. He was throwing it great. They weren't getting on base. The innings were quick and efficient. He wasn't throwing 40 pitches at a time at the end of that outing. I was just looking at it from the perspective of, hey, it's 45 degrees. It's April. He's coming off Tommy John. This is the most workload he's had in a season. And to me, I probably would have gone to the bullpen, but they didn't. And you had your bullpen ready to go on Friday and Saturday, and that's all you needed. And you swept the series. And we'll see how Kate Anderson responds this coming week. He's got an extra day of rest, which is a very good thing. Incidentally, Kate Anderson was named the SEC Pitcher of the Week this week. I don't think that discussion lasted very long. I do realize that Liam Doyle was part of a no-hitter on Friday. He threw 6 shutout innings against Texas A&M, but a 9-inning complete game shutout on the road there was pretty impressive, and it's against a top 10 team. A&M at that point was like 1-10 in the league. So awesome stuff from Kate Anderson back on Thursday. And again, we appreciate appreciate the good folks at Auctioner for giving us some of their time every other Monday. So thanks to Dr. Christina Graffia for a little bit of her time. All right, that's it for hour number 1 here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Lots that we got to here in the first hour. We spent the first segment talking about LSU's baseball sweep over Oklahoma. In the second segment, started diving into LSU's transfer portal basketball class. We'll talk a little bit more about that in hour number 2. We also had a chance to talk a little bit about LSU's linebacking core in the third segment. You can find that on YouTube at Hunt on LSU. That's where all of our LSU football content is all year long. So if you just want football, you can find it there. And wherever you find your podcast, Hunt on LSU. You can catch any of that wherever you find your sound, whether that's 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. We certainly do appreciate that. We've got a ton to get to in hour number 2. I want to talk about the national final tonight. Obviously, the Saints, are they a reasonable landing spot for Shedeur Sanders, or is this a little bit of a smokescreen from the folks at New Orleans? I have my thoughts on that. We'll dive into that in hour number 2. When we come back after SportsCenter, we'll chat with Matthew Brunie, part of the On-3 team with the Bengal Tiger. Matthew's been all over LSU basketball, both men's and women's, and LSU's men have gone crazy in the transfer portal over the last 10 days. So we'll talk to Matthew about how the 2025-2026 Tigers look. So come back with us on the other side of SportsCenter. It's a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime. At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The men's college basketball season all comes down to this. Houston versus Florida in the national championship game tonight. Gators seeking their first title since winning the second of back-to-back championships in 2007. Cougars trying to win the first national title in program history. Houston is a 1.5-point underdog tonight per ESPN bet. ESPN college basketball reporter Myron Medcalf.
I don't think you can pull away from Houston. I don't think they'll let you do it. So they're the number one defense in America for a reason. And even if you're really good, like Florida is, it's just hard to, continue to play at the pace you're accustomed to. But I think that'll be a big factor in the game. Florida likes to get out in transition. They got a lot of big bodies who can run. Houston's going to try to prevent that.
Myron Medcalf on Clinton and Friends. Connecticut finished off its season at number 1 in the AP Women's College Basketball poll one day after winning its 12th national championship. Auburn freshman Tahad Pettiford told ESPN he'll declare for the upcoming NBA draft while maintaining his college eligibility. He's the number 39 prospect in ESPN's draft rankings.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Tuesday as the season winds down, the Denver Nuggets are struggling to find answers. So is it time to panic for Jokic and the crew? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. You can find them online at gcopnet.com. Matthew Brunie, part of the team over at the Bengal Tiger on 3 Network. Good enough to give us a little bit of time on this Monday talking LSU hoops. Matthew, how are you?
Hey, Hunt. I'm doing well. Yeah, like you said, basketball season's last day today for college basketball, so I'm doing well.
LSU's already on to next year, and they're doing so rather aggressively. Already 5 transfer portal additions to this LSU basketball program. Last week, you saw them get things rolling with Mike Nwoku from Mississippi State. They had De'Don Thomas from UNLV. Max McKinnon pledges from Portland. Then you get Rashad King from Northeastern. And then over the weekend, Marquel Sutton, the Summit League Player of the Year from up at Omaha. So you look at this group, and we'll kind of go through it man for man and kind of see what you think about it. But just big picture, how do you feel like the talent level looks for this next LSU basketball team?
Yeah, with these 5 additions, and then the Jalen Reed return, and we assume that Robert Miller will be back as well. I think this gives them a really, really good floor to have going into another year where the SEC is going to be ultra competitive. I think like you said, we'll go through all of them here, but at the very least, De'Don Thomas, DJ Thomas, for short, I think is a really high floor player with the way he can set people up, and if he's surrounded by more talent, which he will be this year, I think he's someone that can make a lot of players better around him, and the talent that they have now, and I also think the athleticism and experience, it's something that they just didn't have last year. I mean, for one reason or another, they had to play a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores. Now we see they've got a lot of seniors and a lot of experience in here now with this group.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to win a single league game next year, but they're going to be old when they go out there. You can guarantee that because of the guys that they brought in here. So let's start with DJ Thomas, the point guard from UNLV. Your impressions of his first 2 years in college and what role he fills for LSU. We know that point guard has not been very good for 3 years under Matt McMahon.
Yeah, I think to keep it simple, I think to compare it to a Jalen Cook, he's bigger than Jalen Cook was. He's not as dynamic of a shooter as Cook was. Cook could really hit some threes off the bounce there, and that's not Thomas's strength per se. Not saying he can't shoot, but he is a lot more of a playmaker and a guy who can get to the rim and at least get feet in the paint to really keep the defense off balance. He's just a great table setter. He has high-level reads, whether it's on the roll man or with kicking it out to shooters. I just think this is the point guard they've needed for a long time. They love McMahon loves running a lot of his offense through point guard spots, not as much of like a team type stuff where it's a Princeton offense or anything like that. He wants to get it to the point guard and let him make decisions. Thompson's coming off back-to-back years where he averaged 4+ assists. He led UNLV in scoring this past season. He's great in transition. I think you just have a really good all-around point guard who, at 6'1", is strong and can hold his own defensively enough to where I believe in him to be a really positive player in the SEC.
On the wings, Max McKinnon, the transfer from Portland. Rashad King comes over from Northeastern. Both guys 6'5", 6'6", and scored a lot at their relative places. What do you think about their fit in the SEC and in the backcourt with DJ Thomas?
Yeah, two different type of players here. McKinnon is more of a scorer, more offensive focused here. I actually, a lot of people will look at his stats and say he's really just a shooter. I think you look at his numbers and in his production, he also had a really high assist rate for Portland. He was kind of the focal point for that team, albeit not a great Portland team, but he was still by far the best offensive player there, second team all WCC, and a guy who I think can do a lot for them. I kind of see McKinnon as more of a off-the-bench type player at this point, but I think that's a very productive and experienced player off the bench. King is a lot more versatile, similar height, is at that 6'6", 6'7" size, defends really, really well. And then I think offensively is kind of just a do-it-all type guy. So I look at him, again, to kind of simplify it, as a Jai Bailey, but better shooter and bigger and stronger than what Bailey was. So you get that at a guard spot, I think you're looking at a really good player.
I'm really curious to hear your answer about Marquel Sutton because it's an 18-point-per-game scorer, Summit League Player of the Year, 6'9", and you try to make that transition from the Summit League to the SEC. How do you see him fitting in at LSU?
Yeah, Sutton's the interesting one here, and I think Sutton has the most pressure on him. I mean, outside of probably DJ Thomas, but Sutton has a lot of pressure to be really good this season. And I know a lot of people go and look at his games against the top teams that Omaha faced, and it wasn't great. I would say Omaha won their league, made it to the NCAA tournament, and against the competition he faced consistently, he was the best in that conference. And I think physically and experience-wise, he is able to should be able to step up his game and be able to play off of much, much, much better talent around him at LSU as compared to Omaha. But yeah, there's a lot on his plate this year, even with Jalen Reed back and Robert Miller potentially back. I still think they're going to need Sutton for that front court spot to not just be a scorer, but kind of just be a do-it-all type guy. He hasn't shot the three ball as well as I think he wants to, and I think as LSU wants to, but the free throw percentage is not bad, 74%. And then obviously defense rebounding has been such a problem for LSU, the past couple of years. I think that's going to be a big spot for him as well. So physically, I think he's capable. Now it's just about kind of putting it together with, the talent to where he's not going to have to be the first option for LSU. He probably won't even have to be the second option for LSU. But if he can be a good, 3 or 4 for them on every night, I think that's a really good get.
Did you see how many free throws he shot this year?
Let me go.
He shot 222 free throws. That's 110 more than Cam Carter shot for LSU, and he led LSU in free throw attempts.
Between him and DJ Thomas, that's another thing DJ Thomas does at a really good rate is get to the free throw line. So you have those two now, and then even a guy, you get Jalen Reed back, obviously, who got free throw line well. I think King is also an athletic guy, gets to the rim. The amount of pressure they can put on the rim this year as compared to last year, and we don't even know who the other two pickups or 2 or 3 additions will be, but at this point, just the amount of pressure they can put on at the rim this year, I think, is going to be substantially different than a team that, Victorious Miller or Mike Williams or Jai Bailey, like, they just weren't able to really get there off the bounce. I think the way that this team is constructed right now should have a lot more variety in their offense.
Yeah, they put no pressure on the rim this past year. Just had nobody that could attack the rim consistently and score, which is a huge, huge problem when you're trying to put points on the board. Matthew Brunie is our guest here, part of the Bengal Tiger team over there on 3. You mentioned 2 or 3 more ads. Is there a name? Is there a time frame? Is there a position that you're looking for that LSU would like to add to the mix here?
Yeah, they hosted those the Elon twins about a week ago. At this point, I'm not sure that those will be the additions. I think they might look a little bit more offensive, a little bit more shooting oriented with these last couple spots. I do think they're both going to be guards. One may be like a wing, another wing at like 6'6", 6'7", but I do think they're going to look for guards to play off of DJ Thomas. Assuming Curtis Givens comes back, I have no problem with Curtis Givens as a backup point guard, even with the struggles he had in year 1. I think it's reasonable to expect that he is able to take a step forward and be a consistent backup point guard for LSU this year. So I think they're fine at the point guard spot. I anticipate these two being off-ball guard additions here. And then also they are getting Jalen Reese, who's another point guard, to throw in the mix as a freshman as well. So I think they're fine at point. I would expect it to be 2s or 3s.
Let's talk about tonight's game. It'll be Houston and Florida for a title. I know you'll be locked in. I know that you all have talked a bunch of Houston basketball. You've got a Texas basketball podcast. So how do you see it tonight?
This is an incredible game. I do think Houston, if they can get out to a better start than obviously what they did against Duke, I think they are going to be much better suited playing from the lead here against Florida, where they can really impose themselves physically. I mean, such a tough team to break down. Walter Clayton's probably, he's had 20-plus, I think, in 9 of his last 10 games. He's been, in my opinion, the best player in the country the past month, and he's someone that can obviously break down anybody. But I think the physicality of Houston and the rebounding of Houston can match up well enough with Florida to where I do think they wear them down, kind of like how they wore Duke down. Duke, the last 10 minutes, had 1 field goal. I think Houston, at this point, this is kind of their year, and I think they're ready for it.
We shall see. One shining moment tonight from San Antonio. He's Matthew Brunie. If you're looking for coverage of all your LSU hoops, men's and women's, they've got recruiting, they got football over there as well. It's the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 network. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
He is Matthew Brunie. One thing he mentioned that while we're on basketball, because we're going to leave basketball after this, Curtis Givens did not have quite the freshman year that I thought he might. Now, that's my personal expectations. I also, as I consider him moving forward for this LSU basketball program, he is a distributor, and he was playing on a team that didn't really have anyone for him to distribute to. That's a problem. Like, you've got a couple of guys in the front court that really aren't scorers. Like Damian Collins, Derek Fountain are not really scorers. And then you've got Jai Bailey on one of the wings who isn't really a scorer and doesn't really shoot. And, like, so you put him out there, and, yeah, Cam Carter is a scorer, but, like, he doesn't really have anyone to distribute to. Plus, he's a freshman, and nobody else is playing freshmen. So I'm hopeful that Curtis Givens, with another year of weightlifting, and then with a tool chest full of kids that can score on the floor with him, and while I figure he'll probably play, maybe 12 to 16 minutes, like maybe a step up for Curtis Givens in a role with a team that's more suited to his skill set. We'll see. Look, I'm cautiously optimistic about the ads that LSU has made from a basketball perspective. I'm certainly not here to sell you on them being a top 5 team in the SEC. I'm not telling you they're a tournament lock. I'm encouraged by the design of the team. How it comes together, I can't tell you right now. It's April the 7th. But they're going to be better than next year. Better than next year. They're going to be better than last year. That's my hot take. Scorching, sizzling hot take. I think they put together a better roster for 25-26 than they did for 24-25. But time will tell. All right, we come back. What are the Saints doing with Shedeur Sanders, and why are they the top of the odds to land the Colorado quarterback? That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. If you're a business, you trust your CPA. You open the books, you let them take a look. You trust your attorney. You let them into everything that's going on. You should have that kind of relationship with your insurance broker. Most don't. Most just look for that premium line. Okay, I'll switch to you this year. I'll split my lines of insurance because this is the best price. And that's one way to do it. I just would advise that you consider another way. And the Highland Insurance Group can be that way. They'll make sure that you're taken care of. You never know when that next storm's coming, when that car accident's going to happen, when that lawsuit's coming, when the cyber attack is coming because somebody clicked on an email they shouldn't have. When that happens, you want your insurance policy that you pay good money for to respond properly. And the Highland Insurance Group is going to make sure that you're taken care of. Contact Jonathan Carbo and the team at HighlandIG.com. They'll get you taken care of. They're based here in Baton Rouge. They can help you wherever you are in the state of Louisiana. If you'd like a second option on your insurance program, the Highland Insurance Group is happy to help you out. Find them online at HighlandIG.com.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. Contact my guy Trey Beal here in Baton Rouge, wherever you are in the state of Louisiana. Gulf Coast Office Products can help you out like they do for us right here at Guarantee Media, where they handle all of our printing, scanning, copying. It's Gulf Coast Office Products. You can find them online at gcopnet.com. There was a point last year where the Saints were among the most boring franchises really to cover in the NFL. You had an old quarterback who was pretty mediocre. You had an aging roster that was really mediocre. You had what amounted to a lame duck coach who didn't give you much in the way of sound bites. Like, it just wasn't a very interesting operation. But you get into a coaching search, and that's certainly interesting, and the Saints landed Kellen Moore. And now you get to the draft, where I think the Saints may be in position to be the most interesting team in the draft. Why do I say that? Well, odds are coming out now from two different sports books that have the Saints as the favorites to draft Shedeur Sanders, plus 300. And if you're going to draft Shedeur Sanders, you're going to have to do it at 9. Now, we know how the draft works. You consider all of these potential options, but do you really want to buy into everything you hear pre-draft? Most of the visits that teams conduct are very much to vet a potential prospect. Some of the visits could potentially be a smokescreen. Now you've got Deion Sanders talking about the Saints and their color scheme, and that looks a little like Colorado, and does that work? And you start to sit back, and I'm analyzing this going, okay, well, let me put all these clues together here. And you look at where the Saints are drafting at 9, and it behooves them very much to at least give the appearance that they're in the market for a quarterback. Why? Because here's what comes after the Saints in the draft. The Bears, they got Caleb Williams. The 49ers have got Brock Purdy. The Cowboys have Dak Prescott. Obviously, the Dolphins have Tua Tagovailoa. Anthony Richardson with the Colts, Michael Penix with the Falcons, Kyler Murray with the Cardinals. I'm already back to 16 by now. Then you've got the Bengals with Burrow. You've got the Seahawks who have Darnold. You've got Baker Mayfield at the Bucs. Now I'm at 19. At 20, you've got Bo Nix with the Broncos. 21, 12 picks later, the Steelers sit there, and they very much could be in the market for a quarterback. But that's 12 picks after the Saints. So you've got to give the appearances that you're in the market for a quarterback, because somebody may have to come in front of you. And if they do, to draft a quarterback that you don't want, great. You've got somebody that falls to you that would have been picked earlier, but teams are rushing to the front to quarterback. We know how franchises panic about quarterbacks, and they'll go up and do crazy things. And the Saints need to give that appearance. Now, they may want to draft Shedeur Sanders at 9, and that I'll talk about here in a second. But the trade aspect of this thing is so attractive. If the Saints could just pull off a trade to move back a little bit, it would finally answer the question we've been asking for 3 years, like, are they willing to do something different? And I can only call it like I see it from right here and go, I doubt it. I doubt they would do that. But if the Saints do draft Shedeur Sanders, what does that mean? Well, to the original point, it's really interesting because you bring a dynamic talent in like that at quarterback. That's fascinating. And I'm not going to sit here, at least not today, 3 weeks out from the draft, and give you my complete analysis of Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback. Why am I not going to do that? Because NFL scouting departments can't even get this position right. I'm certainly not going to dive into that at this point in the calendar. The Saints draft him, I'll go do a little bit more legwork on that. But it's the biggest crapshoot in American sports is drafting quarterbacks. So I'm not going to give you a whole dissertation on that today. But I will tell you that I think the Saints, let me put it two ways. One, if you get it right and you draft him, you set your franchise up for 15 years. And that's ideal. You want to be in the position right now that Kansas City and Buffalo and Cincinnati and, go to the NFC and Jalen Hurts. You want to be in that position where, you got your guy, now let's do everything else. And until you get your guy, it doesn't really matter. So if you hit, that's the greatest thing you can do in NFL football. But most of the time you don't hit. And the odds of you hitting at a different position are higher than hitting at quarterback. And the Saints have so many needs that the same way I told you about Jackson Dart is the same way I feel about Shedeur Sanders. It has less to do with their skill set and what I project them to be at the NFL. It has more to do with the fact that I'm looking at the Saints roster and going, just really plug a hole there at 9 instead of buying a lottery ticket on a quarterback that's probably not the 9th best player in the draft. And that's how I feel about Shedeur Sanders, the same way I feel about Jackson Dart. I don't want the Saints to draft a quarterback at 9 because I don't feel like their roster is at a point and these quarterbacks as prospects are at a point to make that marriage work at 9. Now, you do get a lottery ticket in that instance, and it may be the winner. And you may get 15 years of awesome play that opens your championship window immediately. But I feel like the Saints need to be in a different position. But if you give the appearances that you're in the market, because nobody behind you can give those appearances. You can. So you can force some teams to come up, whether that's to your spot or in front of you. And if they do, you're at least going to bump 1 or 2 prospects back into your lap at 9. So it's an advantageous position for the Saints to be in. The question is, are they playing smoke and mirrors to try to facilitate that, and the betting markets are reflecting that, or are they really, really serious about making this happen? We know that they're talking to Shedeur Sanders. We know that they went and chatted with Cam Ward. We know that they've talked to Quinn Ewers. We know that they've talked to Kyle McCord. We know that they have shown some interest in Jalen Milroe, so they've got everything out there. And that part of it makes me think that they're interested in a quarterback, because that's a lot of resources to use on a smokescreen to draft somebody else. I feel like it's probably likely they're in the market. And I think it's probably likely that they draft a quarterback. I just can't quite bring myself to get on board with the fact that that may be a quarterback at 9. The betting markets say there's as good a chance as anybody. And maybe that's because they don't have a better team to pin it on. It would be a surprise if Shedeur Sanders, I think, was the second pick to Cleveland. And then once you start to get towards the back end of the top 10, like, you've got some teams that are settled at quarterback. So the draft is fascinating. The Saints are a fascinating piece of it. And at the very least, that's a shot of life in covering this group that wasn't necessarily there in November and December. It's going to be it's going to shape the future of the Saints in a massive, massive way, whatever happens over that 3-day period in Green Bay. I believe a quarterback will be selected at some point. I don't right now think it's going to be Shedeur Sanders at 9. But the betting markets disagree with me, and they're right a lot more often than I am. So we'll see. That's our look at the New Orleans Saints here on this Monday. If you're looking for Saints coverage, you can always find it at Hunt on Saints. Also, Ross Jackson doing a phenomenal job over at LouisianaSports.net. Got mock drafts coming out. Got 5 different prospects of the Saints could take it number 9. That's all up on the site and free at LouisianaSports.net. Step aside. We'll talk about tonight's title game next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Airline at Piku near Woman's Hospital. Look, it's all about luxury over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. When I say luxury, I mean 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on all new purchases. I mean 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. What could be better than that? You go to work, they come to get your car, they leave you a loaner, they take your Genesis back to the service aisle, handle all of your maintenance, complimentary and valet. They bring the car right back to you. You don't miss a beat, and you get the service that you need. 3 years of that with every new Genesis purchase. It's just a difference. Get behind the wheel. You'll see it. Deal with their staff. You'll see it. Walk through the dealership. You'll see it. There's a difference in being a Genesis driver. Most of you listening to this have never gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis. It's fairly new to the game, new to Baton Rouge, only been at that location, Airline of PQ, for 2 years. Just give it a shot. Genesis of Baton Rouge. Check them out online, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
So, Saturday evening, the Myers man and his grandfather and I went to New Orleans to the Superdome for Monster Jam. We'll talk about Monster Jam briefly and take it or leave it. Not really the point of this story. But on the way home, I was listening to the Duke-Houston game on our airwaves, and the last thing I heard as I was pulling into my neighborhood was the technical foul on the Houston player for touching the ball while it was out of bounds in the Duke hands, and that sent Knipple to the line, and he made the free throw to make it a 6-point lead under a minute to go. So it's after 10 o'clock. I pull in the driveway. Myers has got to get out of the car. He's sleepy. I got to put him in bed. I got to take a shower. I'm thinking Duke, who is among the best free throw shooting teams in the country, is going to be able to salt away a 6-point lead with 50 seconds to go, whatever it was. So I didn't even think too much of it. And I get back to my laptop when I get home into the kitchen counter after I put him to bed and take a shower, and ESPN.com pops up, and Houston's won the game. I go, well, I got to go see how this happened. So I go back and look at the highlights, and I'm watching the breakdowns. I don't have much other to offer than that's a gag. That's choking the game away. I know that Houston is tough and relentless and the best defensive team in the country, and it's no picnic to inbound the ball against them. But you got to inbound the basketball in the Final Four, okay? We can't throw it away with a 3-point lead in the Final Four. And they did. And Houston made the plays they had to make to get it done. And I've seen some criticism of the action that Duke ran to get flagged the shot that could have put him ahead there at the end. In watching the play, they cleared out one side of the floor for the best player in college basketball. He took it off the dribble and got a 10-footer. It was contested, but that's a pretty good look for him. That's probably a 50% shot, and he left it short. I didn't have a huge problem with it. I think the idea there is to isolate flag. You get him on one of the best defenders in the country, the best defensive team in the country. He didn't quite make it, but I didn't have an issue with that. I had an issue with the 40 seconds that preceded it where Duke couldn't execute basketball, and that's why they lost the game.
Yeah, it's like you said, Duke's the consensus, not consensus, but considered to be the best team.
I thought they were the best team.
And they were up 9 points with 2 minutes left. It just you don't see this happen very often, especially with a team of Duke's caliber. And
if you throw the ball, catch the ball, and make free throws,
then you win
with up 9 with 2 minutes to go.
And you don't even have to make both. You just got to at least make one pretty much every time. And unless they're making threes every time they get the ball, then maybe they have a chance. But still, just man, that was tough. And then the foul on flag there at the end after the free throw was, I could go either way on that. That's a tough call, I think, in that situation.
I tried. I knew the results of the play, which hurts. I can't watch it in real time. I just told you I didn't watch it in real time. But I watched it and I went, I don't think I would have blown that whistle.
No, I don't think I would either.
I can see where it came from.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of these people. This is one of the things I don't like at all. When you hear the person say, well, you got to let them play. No, you don't. The rules are the rules.
If it's a foul, it's a foul.
They're the rules the whole game. So I don't, the rule, you don't have a foul when there's 16 minutes left and not a foul when there's 16 seconds left. I probably wouldn't have blown the whistle there.
Yeah.
But people love to throw conspiracy theories out and talk about how Duke gets all the calls. Well, that's the poster child for Duke there, and he certainly did not get the call there. So Florida beats Auburn, and Houston comes back and beats Duke. And what you're going to get tonight in San Antonio is two teams that are old, two teams that are absolutely as tough as nails. If you watch Florida, the way they closed out UConn, the way they closed out Auburn, and you look at Houston and the toughness that they played with to beat the most talented team in the country down that much that late in the game, you're just getting two teams that are simply not going to flinch tonight. And that's incredible stuff. Now, Houston has done an excellent job all tournament long at dealing with primary scorers. Those guys are always going to get their points, but how hard do they have to work to get them? And if you watch, it's really hard. So Walter Clayton might get 25 tonight, but does he get 25 on 8 of 13 shooting, or does he get 25 on 8 of 19 shooting?
Which is what Flag did. Flag had 27, but he was 8 of 19.
And I just pulled that number out of my head, but that's working. And if you were listening to Matthew Brunie earlier on in this hour, Duke had one field goal, I think, in the last 8 or 9 minutes of the game. That's because you have to work so hard on every possession to get a good shot against Houston. If you don't work hard on the offensive end, you're never going to get by Houston to initiate any offense. They make you exert yourself 1 through 5 to get a shot. And I'm just blown away by Kelvin Sampson's ability to coach, because a lot of times schools like Houston, which was until very recently a school in the American, they get one good team. Boom, you pop a team, and maybe that gets the coach a new job, but you usually don't restock the shelves. they're just good every year. They're really good every year. And he's not doing it with a ton of 5-star recruits. Look, they got Chris Sinak signed for next class, but they're doing it with a bunch of guys that fit the system that Kelvin Sampson wants to play with. And they finally found the recipe, which that's a hard comment. You're looking at two great coaches, two great rosters, two old rosters, two clutch rosters, and two groups of guys that have they've stared elimination right down the face and shoved back. UConn had Florida. I was confident in the last 2 minutes of that game that Danny Hurley was going to get UConn to the finish line. And Walter Clayton just said no. And kind of the same thing happened against Auburn over the last 4 minutes of that game. It was Clayton taking over. And Houston, more so than any team in college basketball, has the perimeter defenders to make his life tough. But are there other guys on that Florida roster that are ready to step up and pick up some of the slack, whether it's Haw or Chinyelu, to do some things in the front court? Clayton's probably going to handle what goes on in the back court, but in the front court. I think the efficiency that Clayton plays with is probably the key in this game. And then what's always important, and I always feel like when I'm trying to break down a basketball game, preview a basketball game, this feels like a cop-out thing to say, but I don't feel like you can break down a basketball game without saying it. You are going to have to make shots, and Houston has been a really good shooting team all year that hasn't shot it as well in the tournament as they did most of the season. Florida, outside of Clayton, has had some issues shooting the three ball. So, big deal. You got to make some threes. Alabama was the most hilarious outlier of the whole thing when they threw 25 of them in. You don't have to do that, but if one of the teams does have one of those nights where you shoot 3 out of 19 from three, that's going to be a loser. So I'm all in on this game. I think you've got high-level teams, high-level defense, high-level shooting. You've got star power with Clayton. I think it's going to be an awesome game. I think it's going to come down to the last 90 seconds. And I felt like when I woke up this morning and made that declaration that's where I was going to go on the show today, I felt like that would be in the minority. I feel like most people would pick Florida. That hasn't been the case. Brunie said earlier he thought Houston would win. Both guys that wrote the preview on the game for ESPN.com had Houston winning. I think I saw John Rothstein also pick Houston as well. It just feels like that's a team that's not going to be denied. I completely wrote them off on Saturday night, although I was just listening to the game, and they just, again, we're not going to be denied. I think Sampson is the better coach in this game, and I think that they've just built to a level where they're ready to climb this mountain for good. This is their second Final Four, and they've finally broken through. They're in the title game. I think they get it done in this game tonight in San Antonio. Haven't seen the number. I'll pull that up right now. Just one click away. But it was hovering around 2 last I saw. 1.5 Florida is favored. I'll take Houston to win the game. 140.5 is the over-under. That dictates the game be played in the 60s. I'd probably take the over on that. I think they're good enough guards to get over that number, but I'll take Houston to win the game, probably in the low to mid 70s. Beck, your thoughts on the national final?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup with Houston. Since they're after the first round game, all their wins, their games, they've been scoring. They scored in the 60s. They scored 70 against Duke. So I don't think 70 is going to get them a win against Florida. So I think they're going to have to score a little bit more than they had the last few rounds. Let's see if they can do that. And I've been saying that I've liked Florida the last few weeks just because they're so deep. They have so many guys they can bring off the bench, and Houston hasn't really showed to be very deep. I think they pretty much play 5 or 6 guys pretty much the whole game. So are they going to be able to have are they going to be able to show a little bit of depth, because they're probably going to need it against a team like Florida that can rotate more guys in than Houston has this tournament. So I like Florida in the game. I know you like Houston. I like Florida in the game just because of how amazing. And Walter Clayton, yeah, he's been on one of those runs. Like you think back to, like I saw Seth Greenberg say Kemba Walker type run. That's That's kind of where I think about when with the way he's played. Is he going to be? Is it like you said? Can Houston slow him down? Maybe they can get him to be a little bit inefficient. If they can do that, I still think Florida has enough depth overall to get it done. So I still like Florida.
It's a good team, no question. Is the 7:50 Central Time start too late?
7:50 is
that's an 8:50 start
in
time
Eastern
in the East
time.
Coast.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I don't think it's good. I'll say that. I would say that 6:30 is a lot better. But I mean it's the national championship, so I guess they think that even if it's a little bit later, they'll still have a nice viewership. That's pretty late.
It is really late. I mean, you're talking 8:50. The game's going to be over
probably
after
10,
11 in the Eastern time zone. So that's late on a Monday night, but I'll be up for all of it. I got to see one shining moment. Looking forward to that.
Of course.
So we'll see. I'm on Houston. Becky is on Florida in tonight's final. We'll take one more time out, come back and close it out.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Always love telling you about One Bath and Closets. David Duvall and his team been at it for 30-plus years, remodeling and redesigning bathrooms and closets. If I can paint this picture for you, if you've got a bathroom that was built in the 80s or 90s, there's a pretty good chance you've got one of those big tubs. You may not use it. If you've got one of those stand-in showers kind of small over in the corner of the bathroom, you can turn that into a closet and then take that tub space and convert that into a walk-in shower. Completely changes the aesthetic and the functionality of your bathroom, add a little bit of value to your home as well. Just one of the solutions that David Duvall and his team have. Maybe you don't even know what you could do, and you just like to have a discussion with David about what's possible in the bathroom or in the closets. They can make that happen for you. You go to onebathandclosets.com, request that free consultation, and just talk it out with David and his team. They've got financing options available for you, including up to 18 months, 0% interest, same as cash, if you qualify for that. He's got a master plumber that is under contract with One Bath and Closets. They're licensed, bonded, and insured. Do business with them. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life, so why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
One 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The following local businesses have also pledged to match your donations throughout the month: Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and Action Industries Plus, Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Pool Builders. Visit 1045ESPN.com to help us reach our goal, and together we can make dreams come true.
Been talking to SEC baseball today. Did you happen to catch the results from Knoxville over the weekend?
I did not, actually.
So let me tell you how that series went.
All right.
In the first game, Tennessee threw a no-hitter and run-ruled A&M 10-0. So you're talking about an A&M team that at that point was 1-. So they had played 9. So they were 1-8. So they were 1-9 in league play. Is that right? Yeah, 1-9 in league play, having been no-hit and run-ruled. They came back and played a doubleheader the next day, and A&M swept the doubleheader and run-ruled Tennessee in the finale. So they won the series, swept the doubleheader, took 2 out of 3 after being no-hit. I was ready to come on here and pronounce Texas A&M deceased after being swept in Knoxville and no-hit in the opening game of the season. And they showed some life, came back in and beat the Vols 2 out of 3 in the series. I am prepared now to come on and call Florida season deceased.
Oh.
They're 1-11. They're cooked. You cannot come back from 1-11. Not as injured as they are, not with what they've got in their rearview mirror. It's just not doable at 1-11.
So,
they will not be in the tournament.
Yeah. So we had our question that we gave a couple of weeks ago about which of those teams was going to make the tournament. So Florida's out. A&M is still in it though.
So Florida would have to go 12-6 the rest of the way to have a shot, and I just don't see how that's going to happen.
Don't think it's going to either.
They've been swept at home twice. Swept by Georgia in Gainesville, swept by Vanderbilt in Gainesville. So that dog's not hunting.
No.
All right, let's play Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
All right, first one here. Happened to see this. Actually, you put the tweet in the document. So this is from Hunt Palmer. He found this. The 2 longest losing streaks in college baseball will officially play each other on Tuesday. Yeshiva, I'm guessing, I don't know if these are both Jewish schools, but I'm guessing Yeshiva is probably a Jewish school. They carry a 99-game losing streak.
That's not good. 99 losses in a row is not a quality performance.
No,
not
it's
a good effort.
Dating back to 2022, so this is 3 years that it's been going on.
They have not won a baseball game in 3 years.
While Lehman has lost 42 straight since 2023, so theirs is just only 2 years long, so a little bit, not quite as bad as Yeshiva, but Lehman is 17-0 all-time versus Yeshiva, averaging 15 runs per game, while Yeshiva averages 3.76 in the series. So I'm guessing Lehman's probably a heavy favorite in this one. But
they're heavy favorite on a 44-game losing streak.
Yeah, they probably are. Huh? I mean, take it or leave it. 99 and 42-game losing streaks.
I need to go to this game. I need to see the game.
How bad is it?
I need to see why these teams can't at any point luck into winning a baseball game.
That's hard, man.
At
Baseball,
some point, somebody's got to hit a 3-run double.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do something to
baseball,
make it work.
I feel like baseball is the sport where it's kind of like the Oakland A's, where they had that ridiculously long winning streak, the Moneyball thing, and it's just random.
Streaks don't happen very often in baseball.
No.
And to lose 99 baseball games in a row is almost impossible. Why?
It is.
Who's the coach? What does he do?
Maybe they probably have gone through a few coaches, I'm guessing.
If we're talking about terrible baseball performances, by the way, I'll toss this in. Missouri played at Arkansas this weekend. This is just completely out of left field, but I guess that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Missouri played Arkansas game 1 of the series. they did not pitch to Arkansas in the 7th because they got run ruled. So they pitched 6 innings. They had 14 walks in 6 innings. I mean, just unconscionable that you could do that. It just drives me insane. I don't know how anybody could sit in the Missouri dugout and watch that. 14 walks in 6 innings. Atrocious. Kick them out of the league. It's like the Happy Gilmore. You got to kick them off the tour, Doug. You got to look at the SEC commissioner and you got to go, look, Greg Sankey, you got to kick him out of the league. I cannot watch this team try to play baseball. They are 0-12 in league play.
All right, next one here. Monster Jam. Take it or leave it.
I mean, look, Myers had
Take
fun.
it or leave it, Hunt.
I got to leave it.
Leave it alone.
It's just not for me. I'll tell you what was just shocking. We all wore headphones because it's really loud.
Yeah, you
there.
have
I
to.
expected it to be loud. I did not know that it was going to be impossible to communicate seat to seat.
No, you cannot.
During Monster Jam.
Not possible.
We were just trying to figure out what we were getting from the concession stands, and we could not have a conversation. I'll say this, though. We are really, as a society, picking up the concessions efficiency game. I was in the Dome. You walk up, they got grab-and-go hot dogs, grab-and-go chicken tenders, like a fridge full of all the drinks with all the Cokes, Powerades, beers, seltzers. Everything's right there. They've got all these little checkout stations. You don't wait in line. The efficiency level on the concessions was the highlight of the trip. I don't need to see these guys doing the exact same thing over and over again, balancing a monster truck on 2 wheels. It's just not great.
All right, well, that's understandable. I remember going when I was a kid, and I don't remember if I had earplugs or not, and I was just like, I couldn't hear anything for a couple days.
It's bad.
Not good.
We had the headphones on. All right, winding things down here. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. See you tomorrow. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.